Are you excited for another week, another show?
I'm actually kind of worried about our friendship, seeing as our bowel movements have desynced.
Oh, well, yeah, that is probably a problem. It's just because our backlog has fallen apart a little bit.
Backlog.
Yeah.
My backlog's falling apart, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's right.
Get that fiber.
Yeah, that's why though. If we have
pre-show.
if we have
Hi.
10 episodes in the backlog, then our
Stopped it.
bowels will work properly. No, it's the opposite.
Oh,
we have to have
I
all 10 for us to for our cycles to sync.
They have a full backlog. They have a
That's
full backlog.
right. That's right. Hey, pre-show, everybody.
Hey, how's it going? What's up?
Well, you caught us at a bad time.
Oops.
Whoops.
Who pushed record?
Oh, doing. Our bad. Well, it is officially January 9th. What
As
a
of
week
this
it's
recording.
been.
Yeah. In this country,
We've
that's an understatement.
I'm not going to really get into it on this show, but this is the week of
Football?
ICE agents shooting
Oh,
people.
sorry, I didn't know where you were going with that. Because I feel like that's every week, and probably whenever you're listening to this, it's been every fucking week.
Yeah, there's probably been a few more of those.
Yeah.
So that's been the main thing. I've been trying to avoid reading anything about that or hearing anything about that or looking at anything about that. I got a notification on my phone and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And we've also almost forgot that it was earlier this week. We also kidnapped the president of another country, so that was cool.
That's right, we did.
That was cool of us to do.
Yeah.
I was watching the Harold Lloyd film, The Freshman, and I got a BBC News notification that said, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but it basically just said that America kidnapped a foreign leader, and I was like, ooh, okay.
It was essentially
not what I wanted to know.
They just read you the synopsis of Wag the Dog. That's all they did.
That's exactly right. That's what I'll just tell myself is going on.
Yeah. So let's see. So it's
been a week.
It's 9 days in to 2026 as of this recording, and ICE has killed an individual in New York City, and then they killed
when was
an
that
individual.
one?
Oh yeah, you don't know about this one. No,
I try to
almost
avoid
no one does.
all of this
No, but almost no one does because this individual was of color, and no one cares about that. So yeah, it was New Year's Eve actually, and I don't know the individual's name, but he was killed by an off-duty ICE fuck face or whatever the official term is. Yeah. And then Minneapolis, 2 days ago as of this recording, and then
and then they shot 2 people in
and then
Portland.
yesterday, 2 in Portland. So on a fucking roll.
Who didn't die at least yet, but
still they still got shot. I don't care if, it's like
exactly. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify at least that this person,
as of
these
this
people
recording,
weren't killed.
Yeah. So it's going great over here. And,
but hey, we can't wait for the justice system to do its part. They're going to investigate and they're going to prosecute. I know it, because that's what happens. So America is great. If anybody knows of any way for
Thomas
Thomas
has a spare bedroom.
For Thomas, and what was that called again? You can get me a visa if you can sponsor me. England especially, if you can get me over there, hit me up. Hit via email wwtcapod@protonmail.com. Our email just starts. We end up with just visa opportunity emails.
Yeah,
that'd be incredible. Because I would probably take one
for free.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll work for free
ship.
right now. Yeah,
no,
put me on a boat,
go
on a Venezuelan boat.
Yeah, you can,
because that's
right back here.
I'll be right back where I started.
Yeah. Man, it's all fucked. I mean, there are so many scenarios. And, I don't want to linger on this because
I know we actually background really really fast is that we actually at one point did make a specific. I remember us having a conversation that this stuff is talked about and is seen everywhere. You can't go anywhere without hearing a political talk, and we were like, we want something that nobody you don't have to fucking worry about that.
This is no longer politics,
right?
This is way beyond politics.
Yeah.
So I think it just needs to be mentioned. I mean, clearly it's and also it's we're so far behind by the time this gets heard anyway.
Yeah.
That
there'll be 500 other tragedies that have happened since.
So anyway. So we just wanted to mention it's stupid. Things are going downhill, actually kind of slower than I thought they were, but still at a very rapid speed.
Yeah.
So,
Epstein stuff like slowly starts getting released with redactions, of course, to cover not to cover up victims, but to cover up perpetrators. But
those are the victims.
Then we kidnap
the businessmen and women who still have companies and lots of money. Those are the ones that you don't want to hurt
and are running the country.
Yeah.
And then we go from that to kidnapping a foreign president whilst massacring a bunch of people there, civilians and security detail.
Yeah.
And then bringing him here for a sham, quote unquote, trial. And
off of cameras. It looks cool.
And then, multiple just shootings and people dying from federal agents who will never face any like punishment for murdering people.
Well, here's the thing. I agree with you that they probably will never face any kind of actual legal punishment that amounts to anything. But in my opinion, like there's absolutely no legal punishment that's worse, that's bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they could get life and whatever, or the system could like banish them to like being tarred and feathered, or whatever, like extreme legal sentencing. But in my opinion, none of it's bad enough. So I'm never going to be satisfied with like whatever the justice system even does in the first place. Beyond the absolute most horrific things. So anyway, moving on. Hi YouTube.
I was gonna say one last comment was that I was gonna say I agree with Dave and Gareth from the Dollop. They've talked about like it's insane that there isn't a person who is running on, hey, vote for me because I will make sure they all go to fucking prison. Like,
but that's the thing is because the side that even has the ability to even attempt to run against the machine because of money, they need to hedge their bets, and they can't or the party can't support someone who would say that, because that could very well put that party in jeopardy of never being in power again, because they might say something that upsets somebody. So, and also because they're also just as guilty or implicit or whatever the word is that I can't find with all these issues going on. It's not like there's a clean slate out there that's just going like, well, I'll wait to speak. No, it's like they're also just fucking just as guilty with some of these atrocities.
They definitely aren't saying like there's going to be a democratic savior, like a Democrat savior, but Dave is definitely just like, if I'm looking to run for president, if we assume that there's going to be like actual elections, if I'm looking to run for president, all I'm saying is vote for me, they're going to prison. And he's like, you'll fucking win. Like, that's all you need to say.
Yeah. But that's my point is the party, the Democrats, who would have to be the only party that has enough financial power to support a candidate.
Yeah, because we have a good system.
They can't support a candidate that would say something like that, because they would also be saying, we are also going to go to jail.
I know, yes.
So
which is why
that's why
he runs for mayor vocally as a democratic socialist, and they're like, ooh, we're not touching that because that's a bad word.
But that's why it's check, maybe not checkmate yet, but it's definitely check. So other than scream in a corner, what did you do this week?
So I decided that I'm taking it upon myself to try, because being that 2025 came to a close, if you weren't aware.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's 2026 now, and so things kind of reset, as it were. And so I was kind of disappointed with my Letterboxd numbers.
What do you mean?
Whenever
your submissions,
how many things you've watched, and how this and that, because just like I've just been exhausted and working and having a life and stuff like that.
Just living,
so,
living in atrocities.
So I have decided to take it upon myself to try to make myself a goal for 2026 to log/watch 365 movies
so is
over
this
the course of the year.
That's just at the end of the year 365. So it's not necessarily
Minimum,
one a day.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because I've already missed a day or two, I think. But I'm up to 11 so far. It's the 9th when we're recording, but I've logged 11 films
so you're
so
ahead.
far.
You're ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then on the weekends, I'll be able to pull further ahead because all I do is sit at home.
Now, are you going to stop at 365?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay.
I just
that's
just
my minimum.
Minimum I want to hit. Yes.
All right.
And so I actually did want to.
Is that new? Is that new films or
no,
is that or
no,
okay?
No,
just
in
anything.
General.
Okay.
I did want to say that I finally watched Nobody 2 the other day. Yeah. So that was nice.
Old Mr. Oldenkirk. Was it better than Nobody 1? Or as good?
It was not.
That's unfortunate to hear.
I would also say no, it's not, but it's still fun.
Okay.
I liked the first one more, I think. And I do like...
That's pretty normal for a sequel.
I like that... so Timo Tjahjanto directed it, Indonesian extraordinaire. And that was like a big reason. I liked the first movie, but a big reason why I wanted to watch this one was because Timo directed it, because I think he's fucking awesome. And I do appreciate that it definitely doesn't have the feeling of like this is the kind of big studio sequel that like any director could have been hired and it would have turned out the same way, you know?
It feels like it's...
The action, it's a very for mainstream audiences version of Timo's action. Like it's still like really violent and like
accessible,
but it's not like his Indonesian movies where it's like the most fucking violent thing you've ever seen ever.
Yeah.
This one is obviously much more tame, but for a studio movie it's still quite violent. It's really fun.
Well, but even the first one was. I mean,
for
not
sure.
necessarily for a studio film, but like it was not a unviolent movie.
No, for sure. Yeah. It was like thankfully like John Wick became really popular. Like John Wick made this, I think, this like action violence more accessible, or made studios realize like, oh yeah, people actually can watch and enjoy this,
like
and it's
dark vengeance action.
Yeah, like, old white man killing a bunch of people is like this genre. But they're great. And then so I got to watch that, and I was glad to finally mark that off the list. And I've been watching a few of these Video Archive movies that they've talked about, because I made it a goal for the second episode of season 2 from last year. As I've been listening through, I was like, I want this to be the first episode I listen to, but I've seen the movies before I listen to it first. And so I kept pushing that back on my podcast list and try to watch the movies. And I watched 2 of the 3. The only one I didn't watch was The Love Bug, which they ended up raving about and saying was the best one of the episode.
That's the one from
I need to watch that.
Is that the one from like the 50s or whatever?
68.
68. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that.
Them raving about it as much as they did was
that's been remade so many times too.
Yeah, there's like Herbie Unloaded, and like
I know I've seen the one with
multiple sequels.
Lindsay Lohan.
That Herbie Unloaded, yeah.
Okay.
From the 90s,
Yeah, I think I've seen that one. But I'm pretty sure I've seen the one from the 60s, the original. Yeah.
I definitely haven't seen any of them.
I mean, it's probably been forever though. I was a kid. I was like a little kid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who doesn't like a sentient car?
Yeah, exactly.
Always fun.
They made me like really excited because they were talking about Gala was talking about like the scene with Herbie. I think she said it was like one of the first scenes that Herbie shows up and these characters are talking, and she says that there is like a reaction shot of Herbie, but it's just like the car. And then like the characters say something else and then it cuts back to the car. Yeah. And she's like, but you implant the emotion onto it. Like, so like you know that Herbie is like getting mad at this person for saying this thing, but it's just you're looking at a picture of a car.
Yeah.
And I think that's fucking great. And I don't know. I never thought about that for some reason. And then they talked about there's a part where Herbie like contemplates suicide off the Golden Gate.
Remember that one.
Like, it drives to the Golden Gate Bridge and is like about to kill itself.
Like on the edge.
And I was like, oh, this sounds incredible. I didn't know about this. And Roger Avery was just like, yeah, it's really emotional. And it's like, but you're watching a car like teetering on the edge of the Golden Gate Bridge. And you're like, how the fuck did it get up there? Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
So I'm in. I'm so in. I want to see it really badly now.
But it definitely is like a goofy movie, and even like the remakes. I think I enjoyed. Was it? You said it was Fully Loaded? Was the '90s one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed it. I mean, again, I was a kid, but even just like thinking back on, because I don't think I've seen a Herbie movie probably since I was like maybe early teens at the latest, but definitely like single digit human. But like just thinking back on it now, like
by the time you're 13, you're just like, oh, this is gay.
Cars, stupid
car.
Yeah. But thinking back on it now, and what you just like talked about with the cut to car emotion, even though there wasn't anything that changed, and then the suicide scene. It's like it's that's like the fun part about movies, but also like those types of movies where, like clearly it's ridiculous, and to the point of like absurd almost, but because you've bought into the concept and the story, like you're in, right? And that's really fun. I can't remember who it was that was talking about animation being the same way. It might have even been like Guillermo del Toro, but don't quote me on that. But about how, whether it be like a mouse or a child's toy or, what a rat or a skunk or chipmunks or, whatever it could be, right? A vacuum cleaner and a toaster. Like those are absurd things. And like, clearly they're just like, two-dimensional objects on a piece of paper or on film or whatever. But you can allow yourself to buy into that story that they're telling or that's being told to you. And all of a sudden, like, the raise of an eyebrow from like a two-dimensional character that is also not a human and never existed in real life or ever will, becomes like really emotional, and it's just, it kind of is a really good indicator of like the power of film,
Yeah, that's kind of like how, like I've talked about, and I know you haven't seen it yet still, but I've mentioned like Lee Whannell's The Invisible Man, how there are multiple long stagnant shots of just an empty room.
Right.
But that like there's an invisible person that's in this room, and it makes it so like intense whenever Elizabeth Moss's character walks in, you're just like, I know that he's fucking standing there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, just because it's an invisible man and there is a shot of an empty room, you can just like, through the power of movie magic, you just assume the invisible guy is standing in here somewhere. Well,
yeah,
it makes it really, really nerve-wracking.
Too, it's about that was one of the things that I loved about learning about editing early on, was, it's not the simple fact that, it's all these things combined, but it's not just the simple fact that like the story brought you here as far as like on the page. And it's also not the simple fact that like the camera's looking at a thing or an empty room or whatever. Right. But it's the fact that like the shots that were before and after that, and when that shot was put in, or cut to, or whatever the case is, or even how long that shot is lingered on, or not, that gives you so much information without realizing. And you brought up the Herbie thing again about like cutting to his like grill or whatever, the headlights, and it's like an emotional reaction shot for a car. But that reminded me of the thing. I know that there's a name for it, and I can't remember who originally did this, but I remember there's an Alfred Hitchcock thing talking about it, where and I think Alfred Hitchcock did his own version of it, just as like a demonstration. But there's like a still image of a guy's face, just a neutral expression on his face, and then the camera, or not the camera, but the film cuts to a woman on a beach in a bikini or a bathing suit, actually, at the time. And then it cuts back to the same guy, face unchanged, face not even moving. It's just a still image. And as an audience member, you automatically read things it could be different things from each audience member's perspective, but you're reading things about the air quotes expression on his face, even though there isn't an expression. And then the very next example was the same face, same guy, and then it cuts to like a hot dog or a hamburger or something, and then it cuts back to the guy again, unchanged, and you can infer things about, you know. And then like the last example was the same guy, and it cuts to a picture of a casket or a gravestone or something like that, and then back to the same guy again. All three expressions were always the same, but you can infer things. It just depends on how long you linger on that shot and what came before it and what came after it, and it's just, it's a form of montage or whatever as far as editing goes. But yeah, that was one of the first things I remember that really, like, I don't say it like blew my mind, because I guess I already kind of knew it, or like we all are aware of that, but just having it pointed out and being told about it was like, holy shit, like that's crazy that you can just, like, that's a simple thing like that. And also, I guess a very unscientific thing can have so much like control over someone or over an audience as far as what they perceive or how they perceive something. Yeah. Really kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just like how if you're watching an animal movie and there's a close-up of the dog's eyeball and then there's a close-up of the human's eyeball, you know that their souls have transferred, and now that human is the dog.
yeah, exactly.
Always happens.
But then it's like, you mentioned The Invisible Man, the version I haven't seen yet, which I have seen the other remake version that came out.
Spoiler alert, there's an empty room.
Yeah, right, yeah. But it's interesting if you consider John Carpenter's The Thing, and it kind of takes that concept where, in your example, knowing what the Invisible Man is and that there might be an Invisible Man in there, right? And I think doing one even better where it's like you don't know. So, it's like there could be a thing in the room with us right now, but we also don't know if it is until it happens, and how you can like linger on someone's expression, or cut to a different room with someone in it, and it's just like, are they the thing or are they not? It's not only a way to give you information, but it's also a way to like not deny you information, but like, I guess set up the tension that comes from being unsure.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
A question on that topic while we're on it. Have you ever tried to like analyze The Thing and figure out who was a thing and when?
Not all the way through, just because I ended up getting sucked into the movie and I stopped caring.
Yeah.
Or I stopped paying attention, I guess, to that activity. But I have after the first few times I ever watched it, I did go back and try to see if I could tell if someone was or something was the thing or not, but as far as keeping track, or as far as, I guess keeping a real watchful eye on like what they do or how they do it or whatever. No, I haven't ever at least been successful in that as far as that goes.
I think there's different analyses that one can find. I've never watched them, but I've really been curious about trying to figure out who is and when, because there are all these people that are like, that can track like, when did this person become a thing and who is the one that like turned them and stuff like that. And I'd be curious to look into something like that. I don't know why I never have, but
I know why I haven't. And because like there's also deep discussion on like the final scene.
Yeah.
And is McReady, is he infected or is he not? Does he know or not? There's all those discussions, and I there's like 1,000 videos out there for all of those possibilities, it seems like, and I have actively avoided all of them because there's still like a big part of me that also does. I don't want a definite answer, because I don't know if it would really change my perception of the movie for good or bad, but it's the simple fact that I don't want there to be any perception.
That's the same reason why
so
I don't watch.
I'm afraid.
I don't watch any Twin Peaks analysis videos. There was one some dude made that was about, it was one of those like, I solved the mystery of like Twin Peaks, and it's
10
like
things you missed.
It's like a 4-hour long video, like in detail, going through everything. And I remember watching, I think maybe 5 minutes of it one time, and then I was like, yeah, I whatever this guy says, I think I just really don't want to know. Yep. And he even, to his credit, his video even opens with like most of those 5 minutes I watched was a disclaimer where he was actually talking about how like whether you agree with what I say in this video or not, the fact that you hear me tell you this will make you think of this anytime you watch the show. Yeah. If you don't want that, then don't watch this video.
Can't unsee this. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to give you credit for that. Yeah. That's good. And then I didn't watch anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, at least, I mean, I've watched other like explainer.
I have too, because sometimes, because I'll have my own idea and I'll be curious, like, what does another person think, or does that person see the same thing that I do, or whatever. Yeah. And
but for some reason,
I was kind of coming to Twin Peaks like that. But Twin Peaks is also like such a dense like package to unravel that like everybody has a different idea of different things. And then I kind of just quickly was like, I don't really want to know. I like the show the way I see it right now. So I'm fine.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and I haven't even like sought out videos, and this is specifically on like the Thing. I don't know if there's another movie that is like this for me, where like I avoid any kind of reveal or explanation or in-depth discussion about it.
Ghostbusters.
But that's when I have troves of information on it. No,
Bill Murray was an asshole the whole time.
That's right. But yeah, so with the Thing, I forget what I was going to say now. I lost my train of thought.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, I think it might be my fault.
Shit. It was something about not
I don't know if there's any other movie aside from The Thing that's like this.
Yeah, it was right before that I had a train of thought, and then that's where it began to derail. But anyway, that's the part I've lost, is the part right before that.
Shit.
But I think what I want to say is The Thing is unique in that case. So I haven't. Here's the train. I haven't even sought out videos that like support what I think already. Right? Like I don't even have. I don't even know what I think is basically where I'm coming out.
Right. That's me with Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't know what I think, and I don't want to be pigeonholed into any one possibility. At least without it being my doing, right? Mm-hmm. If I fall into a hole eventually, fine. But that's the only movie that I can think of right now that I don't have that perspective, where like other films, like The Shining, I've watched several videos, kind of like an in-depth analysis of, all the hidden meanings, whatever, things you missed and secrets revealed, and what does this mean?
Yeah.
And
ending of Ghostbusters explained. There's one of those for fucking everything.
Yeah. And I've watched a few of those, mostly out of just curiosity. But I've even watched some that it's like I already have a possibility of an explanation or whatever. And even if the video just supports that, I'll still be interested in hearing. Just like, I guess, validation of my thoughts or whatever. But I'm also interested sometimes in ones that are completely the opposite or completely new or whatever. But yeah, with The Thing, that's the one that I don't know. I've always shied away from like, watch this to figure out this or whatever. I'm just like, I kind of like it as it is. And I like the fact that I can watch that movie and enjoy it however it affects me, and not, with an idea of a concept. So yeah, so I guess an hour later, to answer your question again, no, I've never like really sat down and tried to connect the dots with who goes to who, because I ended up just getting so sucked into it again that I just really stopped caring about, who could possibly, but I could see that being fun as far as, trying to figure out like who infected and when and how.
make like a 100-minute movie take like 4 hours because you have to pause it and be like, oh god, so he's in this room at this time, and meanwhile he's over here. We know that he's a thing at this point, but was he whenever he was with this guy? Like,
and that was a movie. I mean, I have seen that movie broken down, like in class, for writing class. We broke down the thing over the course of like 3 weeks. And that was like a bi-weekly class, I think. So like there were 2 classes a week, and we would just watch, a chunk of it from the beginning all the way through, and kind of like break down the writing of the scene.
That's a cool writing class,
awesome.
Then.
It was, I love that writing class so much.
It's not just like, oh, here's 8.5, and let's analyze the.
No, the guy who ran that class, I am forever indebted to that guy. Samuel Fisk, and Fisk is his last name, and he's still alive. So I'm talking to him like I'm memorializing him, but
he was a great man.
Well, no, he was and still is. Thankfully, at least as of this recording. Gotta suck. But I had him for 2 semesters, and I took the second semester. I took him the second time because I loved him as an educator so much that I wanted to take more of his class. So the first round of his class, it was like introductory to writing or something like that, like writing for film. It was one of those classes that like every first year student has to take as like, just like one of your base level classes, right? Regardless of what your focus is going to eventually be in. And at the time, I won't say that I hated writing, but I knew that I was not very good at it. Like it was a bore for me to create an idea. It was, I don't think I had ever like analyzed a film in that way before. Like structurally, with plot in mind. And anytime in school prior, so like high school or whatever, college, before I went to film school, where there was a writing assignment or whatever, where again you have to like break down something and write about it, or any kind of like story creation or whatever, I loathed it. And in fact, so much that like in high school, anytime there was a writing assignment, I would always option the teacher to see if I could do just like a film summary of what we had discussed or read about, instead of having to, because I hated putting words to paper and not even like physically handwriting, like typing. I just hated that whole process. I really did. But the first year in Mr. Fisk's class, like really opened my eyes, like the amazing world of story creation. And I don't know, it was definitely like a switch that existed in me, but just I never dared to find it, let alone flip it, as far as going from hating to loving it. So breaking down The Thing, that was awesome. We also broke down it was either Terminator 1 or Terminator 2, but not the whole film.
Is he the one that noted the Terminator score being the best?
Yes. Yeah.
That was him. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like one day, like
I always think of that. So anytime I think of the Terminator, for some reason, you telling me that comes to mind, where I think, oh yeah, he like Will has had this.
I can't hear without thinking of like that day in class almost 10 years ago. Yeah, or over 10
it
years
is
ago.
An excellent score.
Yeah, so like,
I just never thought of it, I think, in that regard.
Well, and that was the beauty about his style of teaching and him as a person, and that class was we never really covered like films, like you mentioned, like 8.5 or whatever. Like we never really covered films that like were not super popular, and like not even just popular, but like still like in culture, like pop culture, right? But it also wasn't like like we also didn't cover like Marvel or whatever, right? So that there were some classic films that we discussed, but they were films that most of us, if not all of us, had already seen and were familiar enough with. And the way that he would break them down and discuss story structure was just like, I mean, it was I don't know. It was like a light bulb moment, as cliche and overused as that statement is. But it like really helped me like understand like, oh shit, like this is how they did that and why. But he broke down like the story structure. We spent like I think the whole first semester, out of the two, so there were two. I did 2 years, 4 semesters. So the first semester I think was all like the hero's journey. And I had never even thought about that before, let alone know what that is. And and clearly like that's now like a very well-known thing, and I was just ignorant, right? But the way he broke it down and just plugged it into most modern films was just like, oh shit, like it's literally just this equation, at least to get your stepping stones or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the day that like the Terminator soundtrack came up, it was kind of funny because it was really off topic. Like we didn't know that we were going to be watching Terminator, but he comes in, started class, and he always like got to the building like he was.
Now, how many people here have ever seen Arnold Schwarzenegger's cock?
Yeah, it's just that intro.
Show of hands, anybody?
Yeah. Yeah. But he always arrived to class at the same time we did. So like it wasn't like he was already in there like waiting for us at like a desk or anything. It was like he showed up with like his bag and like turned the lights on, and like we all like went in. So as like we're getting to our seats, and there were only like 8 of us in this class.
Wow.
He's behind us, turning on a couple more of the light switches, and he just starts to go, doo, 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 just like that iconic line, right? And I think it was after a couple times, because we were all, in our own little world or whatever, coming into class, and it was an evening class. Someone piped up and was like, Terminator? And he's like, yes, and wait till you hear about it. And then he went on like this like 20-minute discussion of how it was like one of the best scores ever written, and how it like perfectly fits that movie tonally.
Yeah,
and
it sounds like it was composed in like a basement somewhere. It's fucking great.
Yeah. But then at the end of that discussion, he was like, and next week we're actually gonna break that down and the whole opening of that film, and discuss like the plot structure of that. So, but it was just like
hang out with him and Bill Paxton for a little while.
Yeah,
the opening
right.
scene.
Yeah. So
nothing clean, right?
So
nothing clean, right?
Totally. I think we also covered Alien. And
what about Aliens?
No, I don't think so.
Huh. That's a great script.
I think there were several others that we talked about and broke down, but not in full like we did The Thing. The Thing was the only one we actually did like opening to closing credits, broke down and discussed, and that was a great part about that class too. Is
recall.
What's that?
Bill Lancaster script.
Oh yeah.
Only other thing he's ever credited as writer on. Do you know this? Aside from The Thing, is Bad News Bears, and
I think
Bad
somewhere
News Bears
I did
go
know
to
that.
Japan.
I think maybe I did know that. But that was the fun part about that class, is that one of many fun parts is that there wasn't really homework. Which I mean that was film school in general. It was a majority of it was like go home and watch this movie and then come back and we'll talk about it. But specifically that class, it was a lot of like, let's just chat, and maybe I wasn't getting the best of education as far as like a rubric goes or whatever, but I enjoyed it a lot. And like I said,
that's why you now co-host a podcast called "What Was That Called?"
Yeah,
and where you struggle to remember any details about.
That's
any
because
movies.
I slept through my horror history class. But
yeah, I like one class was. The other class was sleep.
Yeah.
What other classes were there?
Another class was sleep for the same reason, which was it was a different church, but just I was on church pews. And
was this the 8.5 class?
It might have been. Well, so the 2 classes that I slept through were both the history classes.
I will also say it might have been is the perfect response.
But yeah, because I slept. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that was a rough year, bud. I mean, there's a lot of bad things going on that year. That was like the year that I left.
Fast food math was going on. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it. For the same reasons. I was malnourished and just walking everywhere and losing weight and dying. But yeah,
college life.
Yeah, well, no, I'd already experienced college life, and it wasn't that hard.
Oh, that's right.
Got harder. Yeah.
Forgot.
What was the question? You asked something about what other classes did I have? And
yeah. You had that one was screenwriting, and then the sleep through was horror history.
Both history classes.
Was it just horror history, and then another one was just film history?
Yeah, it was film history. It was because they broke it in two halves. The first.
Oh, so was it the same class, but it was the two different halves?
No, it was two different semesters.
Horror was its own separate thing?
Yes, that was a whole separate class. That was a separate class in a different church, in a different abandoned church. and our seats were pews that were very hard, and the only way to get comfortable was to like lean forward and like slouch, and it just caused me to fall asleep. And then the other, the actual film history class, like I said, the film history class was cut into two parts. That were 2 different years. You had to take 2 semesters to get the full experience. Or sorry, not 2 semesters. Let me be clear about that. Each class was 2 semesters.
Yes.
But to get both halves, you had to take 4 semesters. So the first half was like silent era up until the end of it was like pre-code, I think, or like the end of code, something like that, like the 1960s. Roughly, and then the second version of that class was from then to present day, and you couldn't take the second half unless you took the first half. And I really wanted to take the second half, so I took the first half and then realized I didn't want to take any of it, but I had to. So besides those 2 history classes, which the biggest reason too that I slept a lot, other than being starved and it being early in the day, it was they both were morning classes, and the uncomfortable seats. Was also because we just watched movies in there. Like every day was just watching a movie. So they would turn the lights off and fucking just like have us watch a movie, and then we had to go home.
8.5. Press play.
We had to go home and like watch the rest of it and then write about it, or whatever. And it sucked. But I also had a cinematography class, which was very fun, and that was very hands-on. I loved that class a lot. And then there was, and these were all like, the ones that I loved were all first year, like everyone had to take them classes. And then it didn't matter like what you wanted to do in the industry, you had to take all of these classes to get like a roundness to your career or whatever. But then, a couple of these classes I actually went back and took the second level of them because I enjoyed them so much. It was cinematography class, which the first year was like cinematography 101. It was like real basic stuff. Like I went into this school having already made like several, shorts of my own. So this was like how to turn on a camera, like how to point a it was really fucking basic stuff, but we got to, make shorts again. So it was fun. And then there was an editing class that I also really enjoyed. And, because that was what I went to film school for in the first place, was that editing. I went there for editing and directing. Actually I went there for editing and cinematography was my thinking of like what I was going to go into. And then that was whenever, I had like the, light bulb moment. The switch was flipped in Mr. Fisk's class. And I was like, oh shit, like writing's so much more fun. I want to do this. But I still stuck with editing. I still stuck with some of the camera classes. But the second year and beyond, camera classes started to get very tough. Like you had to want to do this sort of thing because it was like very hands-on, and quickly going past like the most basic video camera. Like I think first level was just like they gave us, they loaned us like camcorders. Like I said, so it was very much like, here's how you point, here's how you frame a shot, here's the button.
Once you stop recording, it's captured on this device.
Yeah. This is a lens cap. Take this off.
This is an SD card.
Yeah. Whereas the second year that I took the cinematography 2 class, we actually shot on 8mm Bolex cameras. So that was very, again, very hands-on because you had to handle film and, lighting was very much a concern, plus your film length and all that kind of stuff.
Did you learn how to process and stuff like that
yes,
too?
yeah,
and
yeah.
How to cut on it?
Yeah, so we actually did have to cut. We had to cut in cinematography class because the editing class that I was taking, which I took first and second year of that as well, that was all digital. We never, I say that, but no, we never edited film in the editing class. It was only digital, but we did have to edit our film, our actual 8mm film in cinematography class. But that was purely just, it was never graded on editing. And they let us know that too. Like we're not, so you can do whatever stylistic fun stuff you want. It's not going to help your grade. This is only about the cinematography of it all. So basically, we just had to splice together our reels just to be able to show them in class for, because that was, you had to do 2 shoots for your final each semester, 1 per semester, I should say, and just had to splice them together. So I had to use a big Moviola or whatever that big platter machine was called. That was fun. I still have all those reels like right around me right now. But yeah. So cinematography became very hands-on, and I realized that as much as I love to use a camera, and as I guess sort of okay I was at like composing a shot or whatever, on my own natural abilities or what I had picked up on my own, it became very intimidating, like very fast. And I just was not as in love with it as I was with writing. And I still enjoyed editing, but really I was only taking the editing classes because I already knew how to edit. And I just wanted to have like a piece of paper that said I had, editing experience so I could get a job somewhere, I guess.
Yeah.
But then I also discovered, because we had to take acting classes and directing classes as first year. And the acting classes, again, they were fun because I already had experience with like improv and that kind of stuff. But the directing class was also kind of eye-opening. And that was also where I kind of realized that, okay, I would much rather direct and write rather than edit and shoot. So the whole experience, even though I left, which I mean, the reason I left, part of the reason that I was comfortable with leaving, I should say, not necessarily the reason that I did leave, but the reason I was comfortable with leaving whenever I did was because I went in, I was humbled, I learned, and then I fell in love. And whenever I was forced to leave or make a decision to leave, I was like, okay, I think I have, figured, I've learned enough from this experience about myself and about what I want to do that I'm okay with, stepping away at that. I would rather not, but I have to. So because of that, I can justify that, at least I'm, coming out of here a different individual. Right.
Yeah.
So the history classes sucked. But then, I mean, there were also like, your typical, like we had like an English class that was just like your standard, English class. I don't believe I ever took a math class. I was saving those till the very end. But then I left before that. So other than the history classes, I enjoyed it. I didn't sleep through the other ones to answer your question as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I also enjoyed the horror history class. I just couldn't fucking stay awake. So it wasn't like the guy was boring. The guy was I wish I could remember his name because he was in a metal band. And I cannot remember his name for the life of me. And it was like not like a super popular metal band, but it was like one you could look up and like find the music to. And also like find like concert footage or music videos and see him in it. And he was probably in his early 50s. And like he was maybe almost 6 feet tall and had like 4 feet of like ponytailed gray hair, just like, that type of like old metal guy, right? And he was the dude teaching horror in an old Gothic church. So it was a pretty awesome class, and he was an awesome dude. It's just happened to be there at like 8 a.m. and then watching like an old fucking black and white Italian giallo film just on a Monday. Just like nope, sorry, bud.
And And is it that same kind of thing that was a turnoff for the regular one also, or is it are you actually just not super into just like foreign art house in general?
No, no. Neither of those two classes were a turnoff as far as interest.
It's just like the timing.
I was just exhausted. Like I said, I wasn't eating. There was a time, you mentioned fast food math. I was literally having like a single McDouble a day, and that was my whole meal allotment because I had to get to and from home, which was like a 45-minute train trip one way. I had to get to and from home, and I could only do that at the start of the day and at the end of the day because I couldn't do anything else between classes, and my classes were spread out throughout the whole day, so I just had to like linger around in downtown San Francisco. And then on top of that, where I lived year 2, because both of the history classes were year 2. It was, I had already moved, but I was also there all of year 2. I'm misremembering. So after I moved, I was in a place where my house was 3 miles from the local train station, and I didn't have any vehicle, so I had to walk. So I'm walking at least 6 miles every day just to get to and from this train station. Not to mention the multiple miles I had to walk in downtown San Francisco because I wasn't going to wait on a free school bus to take me to different campuses or whatever. So just walking all over the city, and it's San Francisco, so it's hills. But anyway, where I lived was 3 miles away from the train station. And where I lived, the house was in a valley. And then there was this huge fucking hill. I mean, like, massive hill between me and the train station that was also in a valley. So both ways I had to walk uphill. Like, to home and from home was just this massive fucking climb that I had to do every single day. And I was just exhausted. So I would, and then also, getting home and having to do any kind of work, classwork or whatever from other classes, being up late, having to get up early, not eating, like no breakfast, nothing. And then just burning pure body fat all day long. And then being told to sit still for 90 minutes. And, we're going to turn the lights off. It's going to be warm and comfy on these padded, or not comfy, it's going to be warm and padded seats that you're on. And the only way to get comfy is to like lean forward or to, slouch or whatever, because if you set up right in those pews for more than 15 minutes, your ass cheeks were gone. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a huge disinterest, but I think my disinterest developed later on because all I could associate, with like French New Wave or whatever, or these art house Italian films were those two classes that were just miserable to be in because of the environment. But as far as the subject matter, no, I don't think that. I think I hated French New Wave before, just because I thought it was way too pretentious. But but yeah, those classes definitely didn't help that interest at all as far as that goes.
Yeah. It's too bad. A little bit, because some of those, like the Japanese ones, like the Akira Kurosawa movies and stuff like that,
we never got to
fantastic.
Those. Yeah, because this was. I don't think we did too many foreign films in the history class, except for the French ones, the French and Italian. That was pretty much it. So, and I think it was mostly because like that era of film history, just there just wasn't much like Asian influence yet, from the industry. So I think it was mostly just like that was why we only had French and Italian and then American films. Yeah. But no, I mean, yeah, there are plenty of great films out. I mean, even like some of the French New Wave films that you've shown me, they're not, I don't hate them. I hate that concept, but the film itself, I'm just like, it's okay. Like Bicycle Thieves. I remember that one between
I still need to see that.
Heavy Eyelids being decent, but
one day I really want to make a note to show you Weekend.
That's the one with the car crash one, the long tracking shot.
That's the movie where Godard is just, the whole movie is basically just a middle finger in your face telling you you're stupid for watching this. I love it.
I mean, Rubber is clearly not French New Wave, but I'm not, against a film mocking me for enjoying it at all,
Yeah, I think Weekend is like a very specific, like, I don't know if I've ever seen
like, how dare you be an audience member?
Like such disdain for the audience, like to your face.
Right.
And then that movie, there's literally like title cards, I think toward the beginning of the movie, that says like, this movie is a piece of garbage and shit like that.
But I think the biggest thing about the 2 history classes were those. I mean, I guess it's hard to say that the writing class was hands-on, but I guess like we at least analyzed stuff. It was more of like an active mind, right? Yeah. But the two history classes were very passive, and it was very much not hands-on. It was very much, this is 2 hours of your life. You're just going to sit here and watch movies. Yeah, and I'm already not someone who likes to. I hate watching movies. No, I don't like to like.
Yeah, I don't even like movies in the first place.
Yeah, I fucking hate movies. But I want to be involved, and I don't just like, watching something that again, not to say that it's good or bad, but that I didn't have an interest in to begin with. Maybe that interest develops.
Like, that's the same thing. Yes, I had that same issue, and I think that's what made me like, and I think a lot of people actually, made me really not be a fan of reading things, because in high school, in all these English classes, they give you they shove like a thing that you don't fucking care about, and they're like,
Here's
okay, read this, and then you have to write an analysis paper over like chapter 1 and then chapter 2, and I'm like, this is so difficult because I have no interest in reading this thing, and so it's hard for me to like focus on it while I'm reading it. Yeah, and so it's kind of like that. It's like a big. It makes you not like the thing that you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
like or could like doing, but because they're like forcing you, like, hey, here's a thing that is not very interesting, but you have to consume this now, and then in depth tell me about it.
It's like being force-fed pizza every single day, and then also being required to talk in depth about the pizza. It's like, pizza's really good. I'm sure there's many different combinations of toppings that I'm going to love, but the fact that it's in this setting where I'm being forced to devour it, and then I have to discuss it in a way that's not just like, I fucking hate this because I have to flesh out 8 paragraphs somehow.
I had the same kind of issue, because I have since kind of really appreciated some Edgar Allan Poe stuff, and I even have like the complete works from Barnes and Noble, like the Barnes and Noble edition with like the cool cover. And
I'm pretty sure I have that.
But there is even with enjoying some of that stuff now, there's still definitely like a sour spot where I remember being in English class and being forced to read The Cask of Amontillado, and I'm like, and just being like, this is fucking awful. I don't know. And then like, what is it? What is the symbolism of this? I'm like, I don't know.
It's know or care. Can I just like it?
But I can't even do that because you're forcing this onto me, and I don't have a choice, and I can't like choose my own thing.
That was the big reason why in high school I really not quite begged, but as close as possible, begged my 2 different English teachers at the time, once I figured out that I could do this, to let me, instead of doing a written report on these things, to let me film something, and do that. And I think I should still somewhere. I wish I don't. Actually, I say that I don't think I do, because it was usually a group project, and usually it was someone else's camera. But anyway, I wish I still had all of those reports, because we did Edgar Allan Poe. We did Walt Whitman. There were a couple other like short story authors like that we covered, that I did shorts for instead, and just got really creative with it and had a blast. And that was really like, and that was even like before I ever considered doing film.
Yeah,
I was just like, I don't want to write. It's just like, I'm so averse to that.
So yeah, I did the same thing. But whenever I would get in a group and we would do like a video project, I would always tell them like, let me write this thing, please.
Yeah.
And the one that I remember most vividly was in history class, and my group, I think it was 3 of us. We did a thing. Everybody had like their own specific thing that they had to do, like a video or a presentation on of some sort. And the one that we got was the Colossus of Rhodes.
Oh yeah.
And I went over to Connor's house. Me and him and our friend Chance did the project together.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember because I wrote the opening scene of this thing. I just completely copied almost verbatim the opening scene of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so, but I did it with like figures of the time period, like having this conversation with each other. And I don't remember if I ever made it known to my partners or not that that's what I was doing, but I completely was so obsessed with that opening scene even back then that I was like, I want something that is like that. And I like did my own version of it. And we did some like perspective shots where like the Colossus is supposed to be really big. That's and awesome. Like the little person. And that stuff was pretty fun, I remember. But yeah, I always would tell people, because there's another English project, I think in junior or senior year, one of the two, where the final project, we had the option that we could do it as a video. And I was just like, okay guys, I got this. Let me write a stupid thing. And we did. And like, I came up with ideas where like, it was a pretty basic, just like stupid high schooler kind of like class video. So like nothing unique.
Yeah,
or anything.
No, mine were not.
But I put these little Easter eggs because I was like, whenever we have to watch all of these together in class, it's going to be so fucking boring because you're going to like watch 6 of these in a row and you're going to be like falling asleep and you're going to be like, I don't fucking care what these people did. And so there was a part in our video where toward the end of it, it's like the last section of the video where like one of the guys, Jacob, was delivering his part. And as he was like walking through Connor's living room, I had Connor stand, I think it was him that we did it with, put on he had this pig mask from the movie Saw, like the pig mask person that kidnapped him.
I think you showed me this.
We had him stand outside with that mask on. So as the camera is going by the window, you could just see him with that mask standing out, like looking into the living room. But there's no mention or comment. That's just like as the camera's moving by, it's just there. And so whenever that moment happened, there was like 1 or 2 people that was like, what was that? In the classroom.
Like, you were paying attention.
And I was like, that's what I did it for.
Yeah, exactly.
For you. Yeah. I don't even think the teacher was paying attention. He was a weirdo anyway. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah, watching all of those, because in my classes at least, like I wasn't the first one to do video projects, but it definitely wasn't common. I think like a couple years before me, someone was like one of the first to do it. And it went off so well that the teacher started to allow it, but only if students asked, so because usually it was like a PowerPoint presentation, like you had to do like a PowerPoint presentation.
Right. Yes. I do have one still that I can easily find on YouTube called
I think you showed me the one with the pig mask. I think I've seen that one.
Probably. There was one in science class in junior high, I think 8th grade, that we did, and I again wrote that and came up with the idea, and it was called Biome Buddies. But the whole idea for that one was I wanted to make it on purpose, like in school and all these classes, how there's these like almost like after school special type, like poor quality, like shitty acting, really stupid, like over exaggeration. I was like, we're going to make one of those on purpose. And so I had like the 2 guys that I did it with, Kirk and Cole. And I like wrote out this fucking stupid ass dialogue that they're having where it's like, man, I didn't really understand that lesson today. Like, I don't know, maybe our other teacher can tell us more about it and stuff like that. And then I was like the other teacher who like teaches them like all the secret information about this biome and shit like that. And then that one was even funnier because if we were going to do a video, it had to be of like a minimum length.
Yes.
Yes. And so we shot all of that, and I edited all of it, and we were like 2 minutes short, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what do I do? And so there was like a tree in my neighbor's yard that is kind of similar to like a tree in the biome that we had to do our report on. So I just went outside and filmed it, and it's just me behind the camera. So it goes from this like filmed skit thing to just me holding a camera pointing at a tree and being like, this is the kind of tree you might find in the biome. It's this tall, and it's like, this is what it does. It's so stupid. And then there was still, I had to fill in more time, so I ended up just putting like images of like charts and graphs and like information about the biome with music. It was so bad. We still got a decent grade on it though, from what I recall.
One that I had to do something similar to that, because I think it was like a time issue. So like I said, anytime a class had us do a report on something, and that there was an option to do or not an option, sorry, it had to be a PowerPoint presentation, I asked to do the option of video, and most of the times I was allowed. Me and like whoever my class partner was or whatever. But one of the times, I'm pretty sure it was the same like issue with, it had to be like a minimum length, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. It was, I guess for history class, possibly, but it was Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, and I made this model, not to scale by any means. But I made this huge model where I built the Lincoln Memorial, and I built the reflecting pond, and I had like all these like little like pipe cleaner, like 1/2-inch cut down pipe cleaner people standing in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and I was going to talk a little bit about it, but then I just pushed play on like a tape recorder or like a CD or something to play the speech in full. And I just like went around with my camera like it was a helicopter, like over this model that I made. But anyway, it wasn't nearly long enough. I think I was short. I get like a minute or two, maybe. So at the end, I just made credits, and I ended. It was just me and one other guy, but I ended up making all these fake credits, and I ended up. I would almost love it if it was just 2 minutes and it's super slow of just two names. No, because I didn't have that technology. I had to like print them out and tape them to like the names taped to things. I had no technology to put text on video at all. Yeah. But I want to say that the credits played over my friend and I. It would cut between my friend and I dancing to the Happy Days theme song, just because it's all
very good.
It's all I could think of was
as MLK.
This song's about the 50s and 60s, and it sounds nice. It sounds about like
it's a good song.
Happier times,
Yeah.
And so we just kind of like shot some printed out text and danced goofily to the Happy Days theme, and that was how I padded my video. Yeah, I don't think I got a full mark on that. I think I was docked a bit. But yeah, that was as good as I could do.
I think ours was too.
And then I did one for I think it was biology class, and we were all given horrible venereal diseases to do a presentation about. And my friend and I, we really, really desperately were hoping to get assigned Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever. Just because my friend thought he could write a parody song to Cat Scratch Fever with Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever and just do a parody music video. And we ended up getting assigned AIDS. And
there you go.
So we had no idea what we were going to do that wasn't like highly offensive. And so we ended up you
can't just do like Team America, everyone has AIDS.
No. And the thing about this is that we were very aware of that movie at the time.
So this exact joke was made at some point during the
exactly.
conversation.
Yeah, and we were like, we cannot do that. Yeah, and the teacher was like, even like, this has to be serious, guys. So we ended up doing I wouldn't say a parody, like, because it definitely was like serious. Well, as much as, you know, two young high schoolers could be serious on camera, but so it wasn't necessarily a parody, but it was I'll say parody. It was a parody of like a nightly news breaking news bulletin. And we like broke into programming with this update on the AIDS crisis, and we gave a bunch of facts about it, and, you know, showed some photos and that kind of thing. And I was in my bedroom. I was the lead anchor. Well, actually, I think my friend and I switched back and forth because we played multiple anchors. But then the other person was out in the field, air quotes, and that was just my driveway. And
that counts.
Yeah, I mean, there was a field behind the driveway actually, but we each dressed up in like shirt and tie, you know. And for our microphone, we found a windshield wiper blade, so it was like a stick microphone, you know. And then we discussed about, you know, the topic and the scientific merits of it, or facts about it, or whatever. And then we would cut to I had a small, like, I think it was like a 13-inch CRT TV in my bedroom, but I had no means to get anything on that screen that I wanted. So we printed out full color pictures from my computer printer at home, and then just taped them to that screen and just recorded with my camera. We recorded a TV with a picture taped on it and talked about it. But we got
Very professional.
We got like a full grade on that, I think. But we definitely, like I said, we were serious because it was a touchy subject, you know.
Yeah.
And that was also asked of us to be serious and not be silly, because the teacher very well.
Let's go over to Mark for sports.
Well, so yes, so sort of yes. So what we did was every time that we threw to each other, we would just give ourselves different names. And different, like, famous people name. Like I was once Pat Sajak, and he was once Wayne Gretzky. Like, we would just give each other, like, you know, the most ridiculous famous name that we could pop in our head or whatever. And the editing was all in camera. So we had to shoot, pause, go to the other segment, shoot, pause, go back. So it was a bunch of just going in and out, you know, back and forth and switching and figuring out. But I think for what it was, with absolutely no technology other than a camera, that was it. And a printer that, you know, I think it turned out pretty decent. At least it wasn't boring. That was the thing. Because as you mentioned, watching, because the video thing started to catch on. Whenever my friends and I were doing it, everyone else was just doing PowerPoint. And then by the time that we were seniors, a lot of other people were doing videos, which was fine. It wasn't like a competition. It was just cool to see, like, people realize, like, oh, I don't have to do like a PowerPoint presentation. But like you mentioned, it was still really boring sometimes just to sit there and watch, you know. So other groups also tried to, like, make theirs somewhat silly or funny as best they could while still, you know, relaying whatever information was required for the assignment. But it did get just kind of boring watching multiple videos over and over again. And you mentioned that, and that was another moment in actual film school. I can recall this like clear as day. It was in editing 2 class. So second year of editing, we had to go out and shoot our own shorts and then edit them digitally. So it was digitally shot, digitally edited. We were not graded on plot or direction or acting or anything along that line. It was purely, was there a story being told, and did the editing enhance that? Is sort of how it was graded, right? And then also, like, the technical aspects of the edit as well. But I can recall sitting in that class, and because it was all individual, it wasn't group projects, and I can remember watching several of these shorts that were all like at least 5 minutes long, and just being like, this fucking sucks. Like, all these are the fucking same. They're the same angsty story over and over again from the same. And I'm not saying that my shorts weren't angsty either. You know, but it was just to me, everyone's felt the same, or it felt like everyone was trying to go way out of the box and they just lost the plot entirely, And I was sitting there thinking back to like, this reminds me of high school. Like I'm in this same setting where I'm not happy and I'm just doing this just to do this. And I'm watching a bunch of people who are in my way, essentially. Like all these people are just in my way. So that was another point in the exit that I was like, I think I'm okay with not, because I wasn't the oldest, but because I had transferred in from another school, in a lot of the classes I was the oldest by at least 3 years. Because most of these kids were like straight out of high school, and I was like 22. So it was just like, I was just seeing a bunch of like high school stuff again, and I was just like, I hated this in high school, and I'm really hating this now for as much as this is costing me.
Yeah, I love, and I know I've told you before. It's one of the reasons why I really have always loved Paul Thomas Anderson's story about going to film school to NYU for exactly 2 days. And he said he remembers sitting in there on the first day, and the professor is giving like their introduction, and they say 99% of the people in here are never going to do anything. And Paul Thomas Anderson was like, ooh, well, that's not a good start.
Yeah.
Like you're already telling us that we're going to fail pretty much. And then the teacher says something along the lines of like you're not going to be making the next Terminator 2 or whatever. And he was like, but what if that's exactly what I want to do? Terminator 2 is a fucking great movie. What if that is exactly what I'm wanting to make, and you're telling me that I can't? Yeah. So he said that day one was not great, and then there was a writing assignment, and he said the assignment was to turn in on one page, introduce a character, and set up this character's personality without using dialogue.
Oh,
and so
that's fun.
He said that he was aware of this unmade David Mamet script, and there was a scene of this character, and the character is like, I don't remember how he described it, but he was like, it's just fucking perfect, and it's just great how this character is done. It's David Mamet, like it's fucking brilliant. And so he was like, so I took that page and I turned it in. And he said that he gets the page back and he got a C on it. And he was like, I knew this was bullshit. And he said, luckily at the time, NYU had a great thing where if you left early enough, you got your tuition back. Yeah. And so he got all of his money back, and then he used it to make his first short film, which he then got funding for to make his first movie, Hard 8.
That's awesome.
And that's how Paul Thomas Anderson started. Yeah.
I think the school that I went to had the same policy.
Like the tuition?
Yeah. Like if you left at a certain time. Oh, wow. Yeah, sorry. I sent you a photo of my I have a dream speech model that I made when I was like 16.
Maybe that'll be the episode. Maybe that'll be this pre-show's photograph.
Maybe. I think they had the same policy where if you left before a certain point, before the first midterm of your first semester or whatever, you got a refund. But at that point in time, I didn't have any reservations or resentment for going. But even then, I think they made it very difficult for you to leave. Like they would, talk you into it staying because they didn't want to give you your money back. So if that was a possibility in hindsight, and I could have known what I knew at the end. But again, I also didn't want to leave whenever I left. As far as it wasn't like I was like, fuck it, I'm out of here. There was a lot of other things that happened, but the things that I've mentioned as far as, me being changed or different, and then me realizing that I'm standing in front of a bunch of people who are just in my way, or behind a bunch of people. Those allowed me to accept leaving easier.
I don't know if there is one or if you could say, but would you say that moment watching those short films, was that a click moment of like, that's it? Like I'm not staying. Like I absolutely 100% for sure I'm not staying. Or is there even like a moment? It was just a culmination of
no, because the reason I left had nothing to do with the school. As far as like, I'm done with this place or whatever. No, I was frustrated, but I was frustrated because of other things in life.
Right.
But like I said, the things that I've talked about, they were just reassurance that whenever I do leave, because I have to leave, I at least got something out of this. One being, like I said, the light bulb moment with writing, but the other one being that like I realized that I'm just here kind of spinning my wheels behind all these people who are making the same shit I saw 6 years ago in high school, you know. And not to say that like, I think that's a little arrogant of me to say, but at the time, you know, it was also a very expensive school to be per semester. So, you know, there was a lot of that was like, yeah, it was arrogant of me to say, but it was also like, oh man, I hate the fact that I'm spending this much money to fucking watch, you know, high school, you know, level ideas. And, you know, I'm sure some of those people went on to be actual filmmakers. I don't know. But at the time, you know, you just realize like I could go home where since I have to leave here, I could go home, take the knowledge that I've gained. Again, like I said, I was humbled. Like that first semester especially, I was like, holy shit, like I don't know fuck all about any of this. Which I was glad, because the reason I left where I was, which I first went for theater, and I plateaued within 2 semesters because I was like prop master on like 2 shows. And I was really good at it, but I was also like, I have to do this for the next, you know, 6 to 8 semesters. And like, I don't want to just plateau, you know, halfway through year 1 or two semesters through year 1 or whatever the math was. And just be doing this forever. Like I want a challenge. I want like if I'm going to do further my education, I want it to be an education. I don't want it to be like, oh, okay, I already knew that. I'm just applying it to, you know, this. So I was glad to be humbled that first year. And not in the sense that I struggled either. It was just like, it was a realization that first year of like, holy shit, there's so much I don't know. And I'm so glad that I'm now learning it. And then the second year, things in life happened, personal and back home, financially, and it just became really hard. And that was where I was just like, okay, as much as I would like to stay, I think I've gotten enough out of this that I can take that and, you know, run with it. You know, of course I haven't yet. I still haven't. But I say that with a positive, you know, haven't. There's still, you know, a wisp of potential there.
And you also have at least 2 or 3 short films on your computer.
Yeah, well,
to be completed.
But that's the thing too, is that like that was like the writing was like the biggest thing. Like Samuel Fisk and the way he taught that class, and maybe it wasn't just him, but like maybe it was just you know, the subject matter in the first place. But that was like the biggest thing in the sense that like I now had the understanding that I had the ability to create stuff of substance, of quality, maybe not always the best, but of quality from scratch, that I didn't have to rely on someone else.
Of a quality of some sort.
Because everything else that I had made before in high school and while I was in college for theater, that I did some short films there, it was all derivative work. It was all either parody or I was using someone else's material to create something visually. Whenever I realized that I could write or have the capacity to create story and write and understand that, and also the confidence, not just the capacity, but the confidence, that was where I was like, oh shit, I no longer need to wait to find something. I can just go home and just do it and create it. So yeah, I have not only the shorts that we've shot that are on my computer that are just waiting to be, you know, finished, but we also have plenty that are also, you know, it's still in like the birth stage, you know, the conception stage. So yeah, I mean, and that just comes down to just follow through and procrastination. That has anything to do with skill.
Because there's still a Western that I want to.
Yeah. So, but that was kind of why. I mean, I remember whenever you were contemplating going to Full Sail, and all that, and I just, you know, told you like, hey, whatever, but in my opinion, you don't need it. Like, it's just a big fucking waste of money. And I think you kind of already knew that to begin with. I'm not saying I put that idea in your head. And also,
all of my inspirations were people who didn't go to film school.
Yeah.
So I was...
You already had the proof.
My perspective was very much like, I know it's a lot of money, and I know that it's not needed, and all of this stuff, but I definitely was just like, but I want to go and at least be around other people who are wanting to do this as well.
And that's the thing.
I was going to spend a lot of money for like meeting people as well.
And that's the thing that like
plan was.
I do regret not doing more of while I was there, and also regret the fact that I had to leave and not continue to do that. And that's also the part that I wish that everyone could do without committing that much time and money to it, is simply just the networking and being around like-minded people, making those connections. Whether you use them later or not, doesn't really like play into that as much as just realizing that they're out there. Because again, sitting in that class, the Edit 2 class, and like watching all of these children, which again, maybe all of them or some of them have gone on to make amazing films that I just didn't realize. But at the time, it was me realizing, those that I'm my peers, I have the least resistance in terms of making a connection with or networking with, right? These people are all just in my way. These are not the people that I again, there's a lot of arrogance there, but these are not the people that I should be networking with, or that I want to network with. Now, maybe they could have very well, stoned me to the next level or whatever, but at the time,
Benji, who did the short film about the rock and the rain, and it's representative of like inner turmoil, is now the key grip on the Odyssey.
No, it wasn't even that level. It was like there was one I remember, and again, it was good for what level they were at. But at the time, again, I'm poor me coming into California, being like, I don't know anyone here or whatever. But I remember it was something about like this. It was mostly in black and white until like this inspirational moment happened or whatever, and then everything went to color because this person was happy and they found themselves or whatever. Again, fine message, but I was just like, oh man, it's like I had to watch 5 minutes of that. Thanks,
Was the attitude in there? Was it a lot of I mean, the consensus, the general consensus in the class, was it a lot of oh, mine is way better than this, or was it really supportive? Were people more like, oh, that was great, good work, I really liked this about that, and I liked this about this.
At least outwardly so. It was. There wasn't. I mean, there was like one guy that was super pretentious, but like everyone knew that he was, and he even like told everyone that he was. So he wasn't, he wasn't like, he wasn't a shock whenever he started to be the way that he ended up being. So yeah, everyone was supportive. Everyone knew that like we were all just starting. And again, I'm saying that having also just said that they were all in my way. Right. I understand like the level of like,
there's this one guy that was really pretentious.
Yeah,
his name was Will.
Yeah, yeah, I was the asshole. I was like the guy that's like, this sucks. No,
you're in the class.
No, I hated that I had that thought, right? But I also knew that thought would fester and it would become something ugly and gross, right? So I acknowledged it. I said, there it is. There, I understand. So, but anyway, if I wasn't paying like the 50 or 60 grand a semester that I was, or whatever it was that I was fucking paying for that place, I wouldn't have had that, perspective of you guys are in my way. And in my way in the sense that like, I shouldn't be paying this much money to be where I'm at right now. So having said that, everyone was very supportive, but that was also at the same time bullshit. Because it was in that same class where we were all like, oh, that was that was so wonderful and creative, where like you saw the flower and all of a sudden everything turned to color because the guy was happy or whatever, right? Whenever instead we should be saying like, yeah, that was a, you know, fun idea, but you know, this is editing class, and like, you know, the edits are not great, like, you know, it was really sloppy on like the, you know, like there was
it'd be incredible if you said that.
Well, but
yeah, that
but
was
even
fine,
if like
but...
even if the instructor had said something constructive, you know, instead of everyone's project being equally like yay, right? And that's where it felt very high school, where it was very much like these are all just projects and you did it, congratulations.
Imagine if it was editing class and Memento didn't exist and somebody came in with that. That would be fucking incredible.
I think editing class was actually the first time I ever watched Memento.
Oh really? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I never really thought about it until I just listened to that podcast earlier this week, which I will plug because they're great. The What Went Wrong, not our sister podcast, although it sounds like they could be.
Yeah.
And they did an episode at the time of recording this past week on Memento, and I had never really thought about it. It's just not something that I ever really even like contemplated, but just like the precise decision of when to cut in regards to like the way the time, because the time has to overlap, and they had to figure out like the exact right time, like the right amount of overlap, because the way the movie goes in reverse is where like at the start of each scene you're in a different place and it leads up to where the last scene started.
Yeah.
And so they had to figure out the exact, like, we can't have too little overlap, otherwise people won't catch on and it might be confusing, and you can't have too much overlap because it'll be too repetitive at that point. And so it's just like how much thought went into like exactly how much overlap there's going to be between each segment. And then even I completely forgot about it because I haven't watched this movie in probably 10-ish years now, but I completely forgot that there are also, aside from the timeline that's playing in reverse, there's a completely separate timeline playing forward that takes place after.
Yeah.
Where it's in black and white. And the way they differentiate that is that it's in black and white.
Black and white, yeah.
And it's just like, it's incredible that movie makes any sense at all. Like, and like the fact that and that they even talked about on that podcast, they cited and interviewed the editor of the film, who I unfortunately am not recalling the name of right now, but they actually, that was actually why this like fairly prestigious editor agreed to do this movie from some nobody, Christopher Nolan, because they were just like, they said that a thing that they always look for in a script is for the opportunity for the editing to be a character in itself.
Yeah, right.
And that is the movie. Like the editing is fucking that movie. Yeah, and it's just amazing that it's just incredible that movie makes any sense at all and works in any way whatsoever.
See, I made a very complex, like non-linear film in college as a theater student, just in my free time. Now I'm not saying it was good by any means, and I'm also not saying it made sense, but then, so that was just me just dicking around and having fun with I think it was actually inspired by the Beatles' White Album, because my friend who was in the film was a big fan of that, and how there's forward and backwards music playing and stuff like that, and we wanted to play with this concept of, you know, telling a story both forward and backwards at the same time, and like where would they meet, you know.
Oh, so, yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So we did that, and then 2 years later, I'm sitting in a film class, and we watched Memento. And I'm just like, oh yeah, holy shit!
10 years ago, this guy did this.
I'm just like, oh yeah. But again, I'm not saying any comparatively speaking as far as both films being this. And there was also not even as much thought went into mine as one frame of Memento. So, but it was one of those things again to be like in that class and having done all this stuff just as a hobby, as a way to not do homework in college, or as a way to not do a book report in high school, and then to come to a very expensive film school with people who are from California and who have family who's in the industry, and I'm watching stuff that is like barely what I did for
of
free.
Sophomore Indiana high school students.
Yeah. Or no, but reminiscent of like me, like 6 years ago. And that's where I'm just like, I was like, oh man, like I should. And again, I'm not saying that because I was humbled. I want to keep saying that. And I still was, even whenever I left, I still knew that there was a shit ton that I didn't know. But
These people are in my way.
Yeah, it was really frustrating. And I even said that to a friend of mine. I was like, I just feel like these people are like in my way. Like because I have to sit here and we all have to get the same sort of critique or the same response or praise or whatever for whatever it is that we do. Because I don't know if it was like a policy of theirs or not, but like the teachers never like shat on anybody. I mean, and maybe they shouldn't. I'm not saying that they should have, but it also didn't feel like there was a lot of communal constructive criticism. That any kind of constructive criticism.
Sandwiches?
No, there were plenty of those. Which was
were there really?
Yeah, yeah. But there was never any like it. Sorry. Any kind of constructive criticism was only one-on-one, like either like in some kind of report cards type note to you after the project was completed or whatever. There was nothing really like in the setting of like the viewing of all this stuff, right? It was always just, oh, that was great. I can see that you did this. I can see that you did this, and maybe you should have done this a little bit, but I see what your intentions was. What it was, that kind of stuff. And again, that's where I was just like, I have to sit here every single day for the next 4 semesters, 4 years, not semesters, 4 years with these same peers of mine. I'm always going to be X number of years ahead of them, simply on the fact that I'm older, and having had already done all this stuff for free at home with my own gear, and then watching stuff that was, like I said, similar in nature, not necessarily quality. I think some of those were just because I didn't have any skills at all at the time of high school. Theirs were better quality, granted, but it was still like the same. It was the same sort of like, I think I'm doing something awesome and unique. And then you go and watch 12 different versions of I'm so awesome and unique, and they're all the same. And it's just like, what the hell is going on? And then again, I'm really coming off as like the pretentious asshole here, but I can recall in that same class, did I ever show you?
I was going to say, I think that all of these same comments can be made about our short film Simultaneous Dog as well. No,
but they can. But the thing about it is that there's not someone who's 6 years ahead of us waiting for us to make that movie so they can make their movie.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I was in the way of that person, I would fucking be like, go, pass me. Just go around, so I know that there are, supposed to be those levels of I guess, understanding or of grasping or whatever, of skill, right? I get that. And I'm not blaming any of them for being born when they were born, right? It's totally my fault for transferring in later than they were ever alive. But anyway, in that same class, did I ever show you the short film Invasion that I made?
Never shown, but have heard many times.
So it's shot.
I don't think I've ever seen it though. No,
it's shot all from the perspective of a smartphone, regardless of where that smartphone is, as far as like on a table, against someone's ear, whatever, right? In someone's hand, just holding it, listening to music. But the idea was that at the time, do you remember Foursquare, the app? It was very like early on, whenever social media started like exploding. And basically, Foursquare was, you just checked into places. And if you checked into a place enough, like you always go to the same coffee shop or the same library or the same, whatever, and you check into that place. I'm here. If you check into it enough, you gain a certain amount of like points or whatever, and you can become like the king of that place. And other people who have the app can see, Thomas 847 goes here a lot. I need to start going here more and checking in and we can, kind of have this little fun competition to see who checks in here the most. And it kept track of where you were going.
The coffee shop is the real winner.
Right. And also it kept track of, like, if you were friends with people, it told you where they were at in the moment, Very much a tracking device. I never had it, mostly because I didn't have a smartphone for years. But anyway,
yeah.
It was whenever the popularity of that was very high. And the concept of the film, and we were not in editing class. Remember, we were not graded upon the creativity of the plot, nor the framing of the shot, like the cinematography. But the concept of my short was that aliens were able to receive these signals as they made their way out into space via radio waves, and they could pinpoint where everyone was at because everyone was carrying a device that tracked them. So the old adage was always that, like, the hillbilly in his field is the guy that got abducted or whatever, or like the guy out in the middle of the desert, the weirdo, that those would be the people that get abducted. But in my concept was that, no, it's going to be the people who have connections and who have, a social media presence and who, track themselves every day willingly, let alone with this device that's always in their pocket. So the aliens get this signal and they're able to track people, basically. So it was all from the perspective of that sort of pseudo found footage, in the sense that, like, this video is being broadcast to outer space and we have intercepted it. Found footage, right? And again, I'm not saying that that's a cool idea or a good idea or that I executed it well or anything, but it was really weird seeing, like, 8 versions of, like, I don't know who I am until I see a flower, and then the sky turns blue, and then all of a sudden you see my thing, and it's like this weird fucking, it just looked weird because it was like, it was shot from weird angles. It was like found footage. It was intense. There were, like, there was an invasion moment where the aliens break into the apartment, and, and this guy takes his phone because he wants to call his family, but because he's taking his phone, the aliens know exactly where he's at, and I was just sitting there watching this stuff, and I was just like, man, like, I'm not in the same, and again, I don't want to say this and be like, I'm better than these people. I wasn't in the same league, in the sense that it was unfair to them, and it was unfair to me that we were both spending this amount of money, and, I'm sitting here not making movies about teenage angst anymore. And then that's really all that they know so far is that. So it just felt weird being in that. I guess if I was in a class where I was people more my age, maybe it would have been better. But yeah, that was the moment where one of the moments where I was just like, man, this is not for me anymore.
It sounds like the different standout. It reminds me of the story about casting the Blair Witch Project, coincidentally found footage, where the story about how Heather Donahue was cast in that movie is that the casting process was that actors would come in and they would get asked a random question that they would then just respond to. And she said that the question that she was asked, she walked in there and they said, you're in prison for life for murdering however many people, whatever it was, and you're talking to the parole board. Why should we release you from prison? And her answer was, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And they're like, why? And she's like, because I'll do it again or whatever.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that was like, they were just like, that's a fucking great answer.
It was different. Yeah. Yeah.
Or it reminds me, there's also, what's his name? The mumbly, Marlon Brando. There's a story I remember about him.
Yeah, the mumbly Marlon Brando.
Yeah, he mumbles a lot.
No, he does.
There's a story about him I remember reading or hearing in something about him in acting class. And the acting teacher told the class, like, to act like a chicken. Yeah. And so everybody starts, like, clucking and, like, walking around and, like, doing this stuff. And Marlon Brando just stood there. And the teacher was like, why are you just standing there? And he's like, because I don't know what you just said. I'm a chicken.
Gotcha.
The teacher's like, okay, that's great.
Fair, yeah.
But I don't know. I like that kind of like very unique, like kind of thing like that. But and I'm not trying to put alien invasion cell phone on Marlon Brando or Heather Donahue level. But it sounds like it's the like everybody doing their black and white angsty teenager short film, and then here is like a weird alien film.
Yeah, it was. And again, I'm not saying it was good or like quality wise it was edited better or shot. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying we were just on two different planets.
Or even that thing where it's like Adam Green on the movie Crypt, there's a plug, would talk about being in film school class and how he was like the weird person because he like his favorite movie is E.T. and all these other people are like 8.5 or fucking like Lestrada and shit like that. And
that was
he was like
guy, by the way,
the one guy who like E.T. and like Jurassic Park and all of this stuff, and then he's the one guy in the class that ended up like actually being in the industry.
And I'm also not going to argue, because clearly it's not, I'm not going to argue that the uniqueness of the situation or the more experience or whatever difference I had between them and me, I'm not going to say that any of that guaranteed any success. Clearly for me it didn't. But it just felt, it just took me back to high school and sitting there and watching all these fucking video projects after I had begged the teacher for like years before to do video projects, and now everyone's doing them and they're all like, okay, and again, not to say that in high school mine was any better either, but all of ours were boring. All of ours needed work. But whenever you're finally seeing everyone else do the stuff that you were doing a couple years ago, you're just like, oh man, why am I here? Like, why am I doing this? So it wasn't disheartening. It just kind of solidified the fact that like, I'm going to have to leave this place earlier than I want. And I can convince myself that that's okay, because I would always kind of be stuck in this level, until the end. So, and again, that's really, I know exactly how like pretentious and arrogant that sounds and egotistical and whatever. I wasn't better than anyone as far as quality. I had a lot more to learn, all of that stuff, but it just was like, this is a lot of money, and I really need to be going back home. And I could be home doing this stuff. Like if all these people in this class are going to get the same praise that I'm getting, and it be valid, I'm not saying it wasn't valid, then why can't I just go home and do this? And just do it there. That was kind of it.
Yeah, and I had, I think, if I recall correctly, $20,000 of scholarships, and everything was ready to go, and I was ready to leave in a couple of weeks. And then I got told that I wasn't getting co-signed on my loans, and then that fell apart. And then I recently, months ago, found out in therapy that I still have like unresolved trauma.
Yeah, I bet.
Like internalized trauma from that. Cause
I know I do. Yeah.
That was like a life, like altering situation to have happened. Yeah. I did want to end on another question, one more question before we wrap it up, the pre-show, because I do have to pee kind of. Oh. Do you have a favorite moment as far as making films, whether it be
in school?
And that's really broad, I know, but I mean, so like, for example, I don't know, just like a favorite moment that you've had creating in film in general. So like, for example, because I was just thinking
that's
that
so broad.
Yes, it is. Two things that come to mind for me that I would consider to be favorite moment or experience for you making something would be either during COVID lockdown, whenever I was writing werewolf script.
Oh yeah.
Unnamed werewolf script, and I had the night where I got to like the scene that I had been wanting to get to, and I think I churned out like 19 pages in one sitting.
Yeah.
And I finished the scene and I was like, fuck yeah. And I had like such a rush and like such a high, and I was like in my apartment by myself.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
amazing.
like so excited. I was like, fuck, this is so good.
Yeah.
And I was finally like, because I finally felt like that was the first thing that I had ever written that I at least felt like decent about. Like it wasn't, because everything else I've ever written, I'm like, this isn't very good. And then I scrap it. Or if I don't scrap it, I might show it to you, and then you might give me some slight reassurance that makes me feel slightly better about it. But I never have any confidence in any of that stuff. But that was like the first time that I finished, because it was like the build up of this whole thing, because I wanted to get to this part like the whole time. I knew that I had this part already, and I wanted to get to that. And so like just the thrill of finally getting to that part and writing the whole thing all in one go, and then being like, oh, that part's done, and now I can get to the end. That was very exhilarating. And then the other contender that I have would be in Muncie, the night that you came over, and it was us two without having pre-planned anything, shooting for a whole night and then having a short film at the end of it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Because there really wasn't any pre-planned idea.
I rented a lens. That was it.
You didn't. Yes, you
just
didn't.
To play with.
You didn't come up with like, oh, we have this thing written, or we have this idea. Let's flesh it out and let's see if we can maybe shoot a little bit of stuff. It was just, you had rented this fancy pants lens.
It was a nice lens.
And you put it on your camera, and we were just setting up shots, and then it was just, oh, let's set up a shot like this. And then
I think the first one was like, it was just a low light test of you like smoking a cigarillo on your fucking balcony.
Correct. Yeah.
It was like, this is awesome. This looks great.
And then so it started from that, and then it moved. I moved into let's film you in bed.
Whoa, wait! I remember that part.
Oh, I remember that part. Because because one of the next shots that we did, I think, was like
with a cell phone
shot of me. It was me in the bed, and you had the there was like the bedside, the nightstand clock.
Yeah.
Because we had your time on it.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, oh, and then let's do this, and then like as we were going, we made up an idea.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fucking fantastic, and it was very fun.
And we shot that fucking awesome sequence in
really
like
satisfying
in the bathroom mirror where like everything was angled just right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was like, and you were able to do that like little edit delay where like I turn my head, but the reflection is like a fraction of a second delayed. And it's one of those things where if you blink, you'll miss it. But if you're paying close attention, you'll notice that there is a delay in the reflections turn and walk away.
Yeah.
No, just the idea. And then just like, oh, but let's do that fucking moment from like Blowout where this happens or whatever. Or let's do this shot that David Lynch does in that short film where it's all shaky and like up close. And so just, I really found it very fulfilling and satisfying, just like the like naturally just making that up as it went along, and then just without anything planned, just kind of almost by accident, in quotation marks, like at the end of that weekend we had a short film that we just didn't even know existed. 24 hours prior.
Exactly. Because it just started out as like just a test of that lens, I think. Because I think I had maybe rented that lens just for the concept of testing it for maybe Stranded.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Oh yeah, because yes, you did have it. I remember you had rented it another weekend prior to that.
Yeah.
That was the second time you had done it.
Because we were just going to go like see if we could shoot in like super low light, and and I have lighting rigs. And
I think that was the same. Maybe it wasn't, but I want to say that was the same night that we were also going to try to do. We were trying to do that Deliver Me. Was that a different night entirely?
See, all of that,
not Deliver Me, the pizza, where we were trying to do that shot outside.
All of that blends into one for me. I think Insomnia, which is what that short you talked about became, at least titled,
available on YouTube.
That's right, and we'll link that in the description, maybe just for
I think so.
Whoever's interested. But I think that did come before that long tracking shot with the stabilizer, because I don't think I had that yet, or I did and I didn't bring it, but I never used that with that big lens because that big lens was so heavy, I couldn't use it with the stabilizer. So I think those are two different. I think.
Didn't we also like put it on
a skateboard?
We like duct taped it onto a skateboard or something, and was like, that was our dolly. Our dolly track was just a skateboard. It worked actually kind of pretty well. It actually didn't look that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, like just rolling on pavement in the parking lot.
Yeah, that was a fun night, and that was a long. Like if I recall right, like
because we went to Walmart and we
were
bought
sober.
We bought the lighting stuff. Remember that?
It was like the LED strip.
We bought the like No, we bought actual
the clip lights.
Hardware. Yes, the clip lights and wax paper to soften it.
To soften it, yeah. The diffuser.
We bought multiple lights, and we did get the strip as well. I think so. While we were there, maybe.
So it must have been the same. But we were not on anything, and then all of a sudden it was like 6 a.m.
Yeah,
we were like, "Oh fuck!" Like we've been up all night.
Yeah,
we should go to bed. Yeah,
No, that was great.
That was a good time. So
those two are what come to mind for me if I had to pick like my favorite time experience that I've had in like making something.
Do I have to pick two or just one?
No, those were just two that came to mind for me. Yeah.
For me, I mean, there are several because it's always fun. Like and
none of the shit I did with you.
Well, no, I was going to say, like, these are the honorable mentions. I think
Glowbox?
Definitely. Well, it's on there. I think definitely the one that you just described was because that was just amazing as far as being completely unplanned. And like I said, to me, in my memory, it blends in with the one where we did all the steady shot or steady cam shots. Especially that one that was like lifting it up through the fucking like staircase in your apartment building or whatever, and it just being the hardest thing to freaking. We did that. We did that so many times over and over and over again. But all that whole weekend or that whole 2 weeks or whatever it was, that's like one for me. It was just an awesome time where we would just get together and just shoot random shit, and it became something. Because that was really, I guess we'd started writing before then, but. I don't recall ever like writing anything those weekends. I mean, besides like bullet points or whatever. And I also want to say that same, and again, it might not have been the same weekend, but it feels like it was. But that same sort of time frame, we also recreated the shot from Your Next, or that whole montage sequence with
the screwdriver sequence.
Yeah, that was fun to do.
Something I always wanted to do.
Yeah, and we did it.
That was with that might have been different because I think
it was
because that one you just did with like a $5 like iPhone camera lens.
Clip-on thing, clip on. Yeah,
that like didn't even actually fit onto your. You had to like hold it in the right spot.
Shitty, yeah. So all of those moments are like one honorable mention, and then the second one, these are not in any order. Honorable mention would be like the blue box short because that I still have that shot as my header on Twitter. That one shot we were just holding this glowing box with like the sunset was just like awesome, and like
it's gorgeous lighting.
And, well, and all that is predicated on the fact that we decided to go to fucking Denny's first.
That's right. Yeah,
like,
we were there like longer than
we wouldn't have had that lighting at all if we would have got to work when we should have got to work.
And I remember that one too because that was just like. I would be bored and I would just like go out and drive somewhere, and I found that like way out there toward
the gas station.
Yeah, there was like that Y off spot, and I found that, and I was like, oh,
I drive past that every day, and I'm like, hey, there's that place.
There's like nothing out here, and there's like rarely any cars that go by. It'd be amazing to film something that was like out here.
So that, and then the second. Again, I don't know if this is the same weekend or not, but as the blue box one, but it was the time that we were in that garage at the house that you were renting in your car, and we had so many shots set up in there. I
remember
honorable mention.
I did want to say I don't know if I ever told you this or not, but Connor was very complimentary about.
You have talked about that.
He had because he came in there for a little while we were doing that, and
awkwardly.
He later. he he later was telling me like he was like, I really liked the vibe that was going on. Like, you guys just had like the music going and you were like doing your thing, and
we were just doing it. We were in the zone.
He was like, it was really great to watch.
Yeah.
I was like, thanks.
Yeah, it was interesting to be watched. I don't know if it was great, but it was fun. I'm glad you were there.
Observed by the financier.
yeah. So that's all like an honorable mention. Anytime that we've written something from scratch, no matter how.
That was the same night we did that like long exposure. We did like long exposure stuff out in that.
Yeah,
backyard.
or the same. Was it the same night or the same weekend? I see all that.
I think it was
just a blur as far as the same moment.
What was? Sorry to keep cutting in. Those shots were for that short film still, weren't they? In the garage, in the car. They were for the glow box short film.
Yes, I think. Yeah, because
I remember doing it, and I remember I was doing the reaction, and I remember the long time it took to like
it was in the passenger seat.
Try to rig the lighting,
fucking like little
to make it look
battery.
Decent. Yeah, like taped onto the steering
LED
wheel.
bulb or whatever it was.
Yes.
I had.
Yeah. Because it was like it was like just the only way to get the right amount of lighting where it wasn't overlit or underlit. It was
So that was all the same short, the blue box short. That's why it's all one.
Which I'm calling glow box.
Glow box, unfinished.
Maybe the glow box picture will be this episode's photo. I don't know. Maybe one of them. Maybe that was also the same night that we got your man camera photo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
where it's positioned in such a way.
Yeah, I don't want.
I love that picture.
I know. I don't want that as the picture for the podcast.
No. I just remember that picture existed. That like cocky smirk.
Yeah.
I love that picture.
So honorable mention there. Honorable mention to, like I said, anytime that we've written anything, especially whenever we just go like stupid with it, just to get that flow going out, which is what we do on the show. But to actually answer, I'm sure I have more than this. I mean, I have honorable mentions with other friends too. Other shorts that I've done, just having a blast in those moments. The time, final honorable mention would probably be the time that like we almost shot an actual short film. Like we went through casting with people that we didn't know here in town. We cleaned out a location that was like an awesome location. And this was in between. I understand where you're going now. At first, I started laughing just because, like, one of my favorites was when we almost shot a short film. Well, we did, and that was like that's all I can say about it. Is we almost shot a short film. Like, I think we shot a scene, and that was it.
This was the one that was like you had the location downtown.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about this.
So this is
because this is the one that whenever we were reading the script in the car on the way back from Austin, I remember. Because really mean to say, but I remember saying, I was like, but I think I was talking about the way it was written because it's not formatted, of course, because you didn't know how to format anything at the time. But I remember commenting while we were reading it, really horrible thing to say to somebody, but I was like, I've written stuff that is kind of like this and then thrown it away.
Well, see,
and I remember, and your reaction was, "Yeah, you threw it out. You didn't print it out and give it to people to read."
Yeah, and but I didn't take that as like as you call it a horrible thing to say. I took that as like I've written stuff down and not been confident with it.
Yeah,
and I took that as like, well, you need to start printing it out. That doesn't mean you keep it. That doesn't mean you make it your final version. But you fucking commit it to something, so it's out of you.
Pre-meeting things, I think, was the moment. Like I lost it, and I think that was where I was like, I've written stuff like this and then thrown it out. And you were like, yeah, you didn't print it out and give it to people.
Yeah, to read. Yeah, but that was the point. Was that like, I didn't take that as a harsh criticism or a remark. I took that as like an admission of I guess. Not being confident, simply put, and that's kind of why I was like, after that I was always like, you just need to write it, just write it and get it out, no matter how stupid it is. If you sit there and try to critique you know, your version of pre-ritual things, whatever that is. You'll never get there. You just had to do it.
Yeah.
So that whole thing, to backtrack, Bittersweet started out. It was just an idea that a friend of mine had, and we both kind of developed it. I had not gone to film school yet. I was about ready to go to film school, but I had done several shorts in college as a theater student, but they weren't for college. They were just my free time. So we came up with the idea of Bittersweet. It was a short film. It was very much different than what you read years later, and it was only like 11 pages at most. And then I went away to film school. I had the light bulb turned on. I was like blown away by the idea of how to write and structure plot and everything. And then I came back home for like a semester break. I wasn't back home to stay. I was home for just a short bit, and we started to develop Bittersweet into what it became. And then I came home permanently, because the whole time I'm at school in California, I'm calling my friend like nightly, and we're having like 5-hour conversations on the phone about Bittersweet, about the script, and it just went on and on. So again, that was another thing where it's like, I want to make this movie. I think I can do it now. Why am I still here, sort of thing, right? So whenever I finally had to move back, and I came back, another friend and I, without any kind of screenwriting software, wrote out what would become the final draft, or at the time, the final draft.
So the formatting was very much like character name, colon, and then the line that they deliver.
Yeah.
And then like next character name, colon, and then their line.
Yeah, exactly.
So not formatted
at all. I think we were just using like Microsoft Word or something like that, right?
That was how I always wrote everything.
Which again, you just get it done. That's the point. Yeah.
I would be at Family Video, like I would tear out a piece of paper and I would write shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we, within 2 weeks, we did a complete like rewrite of the whole plot. It completely changed. There were only a few like loose connections to the original. And it was like, whenever I say 2 weeks, it was, my friend came over at like 8 a.m, and I had him sit at the computer in this room, and I paced around the room and just dictated the whole story to him. Occasionally we would stop and confer with each other and like, brainstorm or whatever, and then something would hit me and we would continue on. But it was pretty much just me spewing out words like a madman as I walked in circles in this room, and my friend just typing what I was saying. So I would go character and character, and I would describe scenes and actions and all that kind of stuff. And that was from like 8 in the morning. We would like break for a couple hours, and then around like 5 or 6, he would go home, and then we would do the same thing the next day. And we did that for like 2 weeks straight. And so this is my answer to your question, right. Like, what's the thing? Is writing? Is coming up to the climax of that film, not yet knowing what it was, and then having the realization of the climax and the falling action after that. And it gave me goosebumps. It made me tear up. It made me like overwhelmed with emotion, because I had like lived in that story for, those 2 weeks without knowing what the end was. And then finding the end and it being like so impactful to me. So that was probably the answer to your question as far as like filmmaking goes, was writing that climax and ending. And again, not to say that it's amazing as it is now or in like retrospective, but at the time, having never done that before, never writing something more than like 5 or 6 lines on a paper as far as like, plot point idea, or not even plot points, but like, points along the line of making a short film, plot or no plot, to creating a whole world, characters, dialogue, motivations, emotions, climaxing that, and then resolving that in the way that we did. Like, I can remember the ending of that. I like laid on the floor in here, and my friend like leaned back in the chair, and he like did this big whew, like sigh, and I just lay there and was like, holy shit. Like it was like, I don't want to say orgasmic in the sense of like it was like pleasurable, but it was like that intense of like a, we just like, wow, right? Like that's over. That was probably the most amazing thing so far is that. And like I said, it was almost made. We ended up taking that script and the original friend that I worked with it on originally, he got back involved. He was busy during that time period, and we ended up like finding a location, having a casting call where we cast like 4 or 5 people that we did not know, like from other towns. Like they just came in, they auditioned for us, they all got the role because we didn't have anyone else. But we at least, ran. I think we actually did turn away.
We'll call you next week.
No, I think there was actually one person because there were like 3 people who were vying for the same role, and one of those ended up being cast in another role, and the third person we just didn't need, and they also just weren't that great.
She's like, now, what do you mean by pre-ritual things? Because what I picture is the character.
We had to explain some of that stuff. Because then we all brought the whole cast, air quotes, to the location, and I walked them through the whole script, and I read the whole thing, and we did a table read, and we ended up scheduling that first scene to shoot, and we shot that introductory scene, and then I can't remember what happened. I think things fell through. I think she rightfully got nervous and stopped coming.
She's like, I can't do the pre-meeting things.
Yeah,
it's too
I think
much.
she was nervous as far as like, I don't want to be a part of this, which is fine, whatever, But a lot of things quickly fell apart, and then we never went back to it. And plus, I had to go back. No, because I think that was in between. I think that was after I came back from college. I can't remember the timeline exactly on that. I might have rewrote that before I moved back from college, actually. I might have rewrote that during like summer break of college, and then I went to college for the last semester. I think that's what it was, actually. And we just ran out of time, and then by the time that I came back, other things in life had gone to shit, and we just never got to it. So that was the time.
Did you go back for that final semester or whatever? Like, you motherfuckers don't know that I'm packing heat. I got this fucking script that's gonna blow the lid off this motherfucker.
There maybe was a little bit of that. Yeah, there was a little bit of
like internally at least.
Well, I just felt good that like I
yeah,
completed something again
for sure.
To be worried about quality whenever you're the one making it, it's important, I think, but I don't think that was on my mind.
I definitely think that your reaction to Untitled Werewolf script was more positive than what I felt too.
Well, yeah.
Not to say that you're
I think so.
Overwhelmingly positive about it, but I'd even like knowing that what I turned out was like going into it was predetermined. Like, I'm just going to put a vomit draft and just like, I'm making it up as I go.
Yep.
And so by the time I got to the ending, which I wasn't quite even sure about, I definitely was like, I don't really know how I feel about that ending, but it's done.
Yep, it's done.
Like, I have like, it's over, and it's slightly shorter than I had hoped it would be because I didn't know how to end it, and so it just kind of ends.
Yeah.
And then I also, like, retrospectively looking back on it, I don't really like the beginning very much either.
Yeah. But
anyway,
I was positive in the sense that like you got it out, and the version that you got out was not actually garbage. Was it fantastic and awesome? No, but it was potential. It had a lot of potential to work with in it.
Well, the thing that I always liked and that always stuck in my head that I remember you saying was an obvious thing, but it's still really reassuring and nice to hear, was just like something to the effect of like, remember that none of that stuff existed before.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Everything that's written in that thing is stuff that just like that, none of that existed, and now it does. So
yep.
I always really liked that. I don't know if that's like a confidence booster necessarily, but it's like really nice.
Well, yeah, because
to think about.
Regardless of quality, because it's not finalized yet, right? It exists, and the fact that you made something that literally never existed before that moment in time is pretty awesome to think about. Now, again, that doesn't mean that like you should stop there. You shouldn't stop with pre-ritual things and call it good.
Email it to A24.
You know,
what do you think of this?
Yeah, look at this bad boy I got in my pocket right here. No, but it's at least something, and that goes back to what Fisk told us. You know, is that you just have to get it out. If you sit there and like wait for perfection, or you sit there and fiddle with, you know, the right word or the right action or the whatever, or even like the formatting or whatever it is, then you're just never going to do it, because you're so worried about that kind of bullshit that you're never going to get past the fact that you suck the first time. You just have to get past the fact that you suck the first time, and then maybe the second time, and maybe like the 12th time and the 14th time. But eventually, like it sucks less each revision, and you eventually get there. So yeah, I guess we should go do our normal show.
Yeah, normal show time. I gotta pee. So tune in Monday to hear what we do post urination, everybody.
Ooh. I just lost everyone.
Yep. Yeah, at least it's over.